For decades, the music industry had one simple rule. Artists needed record labels to make it big. It was just part of the deal. But what if that's not true anymore? What if the biggest threat to the music industry isn't some new superstar, but 5 artists from the Philippines who decided they don't need the machine? A Filipino group is proving that by taking back ownership and building a direct pipeline to their fans, they can create a powerhouse that makes the old system look ancient. This is how SB19 is building the future of music, and it's exactly why traditional labels should be worried. This isn't just about topping charts, it's about completely rewriting the rules of global pop. Before we get into how SB19 is shaking things up, you have to understand the machine they're up against. For generations, the global music business was run by a handful of giants: Universal, Sony, and Warner. Their system was built on one core idea: control. Here's the deal with the old model. An artist signs a contract, trading away a huge chunk of their future earnings and creative freedom for a shot at stardom. The label pays for the recording, the marketing, and the distribution. In exchange, the label almost always takes ownership of the most valuable thing in the entire equation: the master recordings. Think of the master recording as the original, definitive version of a song. Whoever owns it decides how that music gets used and earns money for decades, through streaming, movies, commercials, you name it. The artist gets a cut, but the label owns the asset for life. The music becomes a corporate product, not something the artist truly controls. This system made sense when artists had no other way to press vinyl, get on the radio, or get albums into stores. Labels were the gatekeepers, and you had to pay their toll to get in. It was a system designed to minimize their risk and maximize their power, turning art into a predictable product. But that foundation is cracking, because technology has made those gatekeepers optional. Streaming, social media, and direct-to-fan platforms are letting artists skip the middleman entirely. And that's exactly where SB19's story begins. Most artists who leave a record label just try to survive. SB19 did something way smarter. They didn't just leave the system, they built a new one. After coming up through a structured K-pop-style training system, the group came to a crossroads when their contract ended. They could re-sign and stay safe, or they could step out on their own and take full control. They chose the harder path. By creating their own company, SB19 Entertainment, they didn't just make a business move, they made a statement. They were taking ownership of their music, their brand, and their story. This independent system is built on 3 pillars that directly attack the traditional label model. In today's music business, the most valuable currency isn't just fame, it's ownership. By launching SB19 Entertainment, SB19 ensured they would own their master recordings. This is the fundamental economic shift. It turns music from a one-time paycheck into a lifetime asset that grows in value. Every stream, every movie sync, every new use of their songs builds their own catalog, not a corporation's. This is what the industry calls leverage. When artists see they can fund projects through fan demand, analyze their own data, and make money without a middleman, the label starts to look optional. And for a power structure built on being necessary, optional is a terrifying word. With their own company, SB19 moves at the speed of the internet, not corporate bureaucracy. There are no long approval chains or suits telling them an idea is too risky. The members themselves are the creative directors. Pablo is a primary writer and producer, Justin often directs their visuals, and Stel handles performance direction. This lets them experiment with wild concepts, pivot on a dime, and release music that feels like them, not something cooked up by a committee. This speed is a huge advantage when trends can be born and die in a matter of days. But ownership and creative control don't mean a thing without an audience. That brings us to the third, and maybe the most powerful pillar, the fan engine known as ATIN-N. The name ATIN comes from the Tagalog word for hours, a perfect symbol for their shared journey. And it's not just a name, it's a mission statement. From day one, SB19 has treated their fans not like customers, but like partners. What started as a fan base has morphed into something more like a digital army, organized, strategic, and fiercely loyal. While major labels pour millions into ads, ATIN runs on pure passion. They coordinate global streaming parties to dominate charts, fund massive Times Square billboards, and push hashtags to the top of trending lists. For 3 consecutive years, they've won the Billboard Fan Army face-off, beating the fans of some of the biggest artists on the planet. This isn't just hype. It's a decentralized marketing machine powered by loyalty. It's a relationship built on a simple promise. A win for SB19 is a win for ATIN. That direct connection creates a level of trust that no marketing budget can buy. And the results are undeniable. Under this independent model, SB19 became the first Filipino act ever nominated for a Billboard Music Award. They've landed multiple hits on Billboard's World Digital Song Sales chart and sold out arenas across the globe on tours like their 2025 Simula at Waka's World Tour. They've proven that you can have global reach, financial freedom, and artistic integrity, all without a major label. SB19's success isn't a fluke. It's a case study. It's a working model for a post-label world, and that's what makes the old guard so nervous. The threat isn't that one group from the Philippines is going to bring down the whole industry. The threat is the idea they represent, that their model can be copied. For decades, labels had all the power. They had the money, the distribution, and the connections. Artists needed them more than they needed any single artist. But SB19's blueprint flips that script. They've proved that a dedicated fan base can work as a marketing department. They've proved that owning your masters is the key to long-term financial freedom. And they've proved that authentic creativity connects deeper than a perfectly polished product. This shift in power is putting creators back in the driver's seat. Artists are now looking at this model and realizing they have more bargaining chips than ever. They can demand ownership, sign distribution-only deals, or, like SB19, just build their own company from the ground up. The more artists who do this, the more the label's main selling point, as the exclusive gatekeeper to success, dries up. And SB19 isn't just surviving, they're expanding. Sony Entertainment has been professionalizing its operations, bringing in industry vets, and naming Pablo as president to steer the company's creative vision. They're not just an independent group anymore, they're building an institution and are even preparing to launch new artists, including a new girl group set to debut in 2026. They're proving this model isn't just sustainable, it's scalable. The music industry we all grew up with was built on control, where artists were often the least powerful people in the room. SB19 didn't just succeed outside that system, they exposed its cracks by building something better. Their model, built on master ownership, creative freedom, and a true partnership with their fans, offers a new path for artists everywhere. They're evolving from performers into entrepreneurs, from managed talent into CEOs who own their work and control their destiny. This isn't just a story about one group's incredible rise. It's a sign of a massive power shift that's reshaping music for the next generation. The old machine isn't dead yet, but the blueprints for its replacement are here. And they were drawn up by 5 guys who decided ours was a much more powerful word than theirs. But what do you think? Is this independent, fan-driven model really the future of music? And who do you think will be the next artist to follow in their footsteps? Let me know in the comments.